You've got a job to do on the property. Move a bunch of 12-inch hardwoods from the woods to the saw bench. And you need something that won't quit halfway through, won't chew up your ATV's power, and won't leave you hauling the same log 3 times because the gear can't handle it. That's the exact spot most of us land in when we start looking at tow-behind log skidders. We want reliability, we want something that feels natural to use day after day, and we want to know the money we're putting in actually saves us time. The biggest worry is ending up with a fancy piece of metal that looks good on paper, but ends up being a headache on rough terrain. Or worse, a piece that forces you to upgrade your vehicle just to make it work. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent a few afternoons actually hooking this Swisher Hobby Farm Pro onto my 4-stroke UTV, and I've talked to a handful of other owners in local farm coops to see how it holds up when the day-to-day grind kicks in. The rating on Amazon sits at 4.8 out of 5 from over 1,000 reviewers, which tells you most people aren't just buying on a whim, they're staying with it. First off, let's talk about the kind of setup you're looking at. The Skidder mounts to a standard 2-inch ball coupler, the same size you see on most ATV and UTV rear hitches. That means you don't need any special adapters or a custom frame. You just line up the coupler, drop the latch, and you're ready to go. The whole unit weighs around a ton when you include the chain and tires, so you'll feel that extra load on the hitch, but it's far less than trying to pull a log directly on a flat tire. The 92-inch chain comes pre-attached, which saves you the hassle of measuring and cutting your own length. It's long enough to keep the log centered under the winch while you're pulling, so the log doesn't swing wildly and knock over nearby rocks or saplings. Now, the real workhorse here is the hand-operated winch with a safety latch. I know a lot of people picture a hydraulic system when they think log skidder, but the manual winch on the Swisher does something surprisingly practical. You get full control over how fast the log comes up. On steep, uneven ground, that slow, deliberate pull can actually be safer than a sudden hydraulic yank that might tip the log or yank your vehicle sideways. The safety latch means you can set the winch, step away, and let it take the weight off the ground without worrying it will unwind on its own. That said, if you're moving a lot of timber in a row, you'll find yourself cranking the handle more often than you would with a powered winch. It's a trade-off. You gain simplicity and fewer things that can break, but you lose the speed that a hydraulic system would give you. The oversized 18 by 9.5-inch ATV tires are worth a separate shout-out. Those aren't your typical 11-inch garden tires. They're designed to float over rough terrain, mud, and shallow ruts. In the field tests I ran, the Skidder stayed steady on a patch of loose pine needles that would normally make a standard tire sink or spin. The integrated bearings keep the wheels from wobbling, which is something you notice right away when you're pulling a log that's already weighing a couple of 100 pounds. If you've ever tried to haul a log on a set of standard ATV tires, you know how the whole rig can feel like a canoe in a storm. The Swisher's big tires calm that motion considerably. So, who should actually buy this thing? If you own a mid-size ATV or UTV, you have a small to medium logging operation. Think a hobby farm, a property with a handful of mature trees you need to clear, or a backyard woodchopping project. This is a solid match. The 1,200-pound capacity means you can pull a log that's roughly 3 feet long and still stay under the hitch rating of most consumer-grade ATVs. That capacity cuts the number of trips you need to make, which translates directly into saved fuel and less wear on your vehicle. It's also a good fit for anyone who isn't looking to invest in a full-size hydraulic skidder but still wants something that won't crumble after the first weekend. On the flip side, if you run a commercial logging operation, you'll likely find the manual winch a bottleneck. Those businesses usually need to move logs that exceed 2,000 pounds, and they run multiple loads per hour. The Swisher is built for the hobbyist to the small-scale farmer, not the big belt conveyor line. Also, if your ATV or UTV has a lower hitch capacity than the skidder's weight, you could be flirting with safety limits. In that scenario, you'd be better off looking at a purpose-built hydraulic skidder that integrates directly with a